The next thing we are going to do is I actually am going to share my advocacy journey. So my journey is somewhat different than most or than a lot of you. I'll make my long story about migraine, getting to my chronic intractable migraine short. I'm going to shorten it up for all of you. So in 2006, I was diagnosed with adenocarcinoma of my sinuses and my right eye orbit. I was only 39 and I had a very, very rare cancer right here in my sinuses. I was a single mom of 2 young children. My kids were 7 and 10, and I had just gotten engaged 3 weeks prior. Of course, I told my brand new fiance to take his ring back and just wait and see what was going to happen because I was given 2 to 3 years to live. He said, no way, you're keeping the ring on, and that's it. You know, he wouldn't hear anything of it. So again, long story short, Thomas Jefferson Hospital and Will's eye saved my life. They saved my eye. I wasn't supposed to wake up from my 16-hour surgery with an eye. They were taking, and also I couldn't get a prosthetic eye because they were taking so much bone from behind my eye that my eye was literally going to be sewn shut for the rest of my life. So I woke up with my eye, and almost 15 years later, it happened in November, almost 15 years later, I am still alive. I am cancer-free, and I am happily married to my said fiance. So how did I get migraine? Growing up and before I was diagnosed with cancer, I hardly ever had a headache. So doctors believe that the radiation and the scar tissue left from the surgery caused my migraine. However, it took doctors about 2 years to diagnose me with migraine because they believe the headaches I was having and experiencing 24/7 were due to my healing process from the trauma of my cancer, surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. As my pain continued, I lived with a pain level of a 9-10, 24/7. So into the second year of that, they finally sent me over to a headache clinic where my cancer medication, which was a lot of opioids and things like that, was switched out for migraine medications and also Botox. Finally, my life started to come back to me, and I also was officially diagnosed with migraine. And within a few short months, I felt alive again. I couldn't believe that changing medications could actually, change my life so much. My level 9-10 migraine quickly went down to about a 7, and then to a 5, which is basically where I live. I live about a 5, level 5 every day. I can go down to a 3, I can go up to a 9. Obviously, it depends on my triggers, weather, stress, noise, fluorescent lights are my main triggers. I'm a lucky one because with my cancer, I can't smell. So I don't have those triggers that a lot of you have from, smelling different things. But 3 years ago, so this is 12 years into my journey of migraine, I still felt completely alone in my migraine journey. I had a wonderful headache specialist and saw him every 3 months for my Botox. And whenever I needed anything, he and his team, one second, let me let someone in. So I had a wonderful headache specialist that I saw every 3 months. He and his team, they listened to me. They were there to help me. I had everything from them. So I was so lucky in that sense, especially when I hear some horror stories out there about other neurologists and headache specialists. One thing he always did was he always talked to me about joining the Philadelphia Run, Walk, and Relax event. But my kids were athletes in school. We always had conflicts for that weekend of the race. Then my daughter went on to playing lacrosse in college. And of course, she had an alumni lacrosse game that same day of the Philadelphia Run, Walk, and Relax event. So for those 4 years in college, I couldn't go to the race either. But when she graduated college, I finally said to him, guess what? I can finally attend this year's Miles for Migraine Run, Walk, Relax event. I went and it was life-changing, literally life-changing. I never felt so surrounded by such a great group of migraine warriors, and I never felt less alone in all of my life with this disease. There was an immediate connection with the attendees. We introduced ourselves to each other. We told our migraine stories to each other. And some of us even exchanged phone numbers right then and there. I left the Philadelphia event feeling so empowered, and I never looked back from my migraine journey. My advocacy journey was so easy to start. The Philadelphia event was my starting point. That was my day one of advocacy, and I didn't realize how easy advocacy was. Attending the event was advocacy. You guys attending this education day is advocacy for you. So if you feel like you don't know what advocacy is, or you don't advocate for yourself or the disease, you are advocating today. If you go to an event, you're advocating. That is advocacy. I was helping make noise that day about migraine. I got my Miles for Migraine t-shirt that day. And so I could continue my migraine journey, advocacy journey, because when I wore my t-shirt out, the Miles for Migraine logo grabs people's attention. And so many people would stop me and say, hey, what is that logo? What's that brain? And I could talk about migraine. I could tell my story if people wanted to listen to my story. And then COVID hit, and we have Miles for Migraine masks. And as I said in the introduction, I wear my mask everywhere. So people will actually ask me, what's Miles for Migraine for? What's the mask? And so I would tell them, and they would say, oh, my cousin has migraine. Oh, my neighbor has migraine. It seems like somebody always knows someone with migraine. And it's just advocating is easy. So if you want tips or anything about advocating, just email me and we can chat. From that day on, after the Philadelphia event, I formed friendships that I had not had in so long. Again, I felt like I was lonely and alone. People at that event completely understood me. They didn't judge me. We connected in ways that others had not connected with me in a long time. And I knew I had a huge void in my life before that. If my old friends didn't choose to learn about my disease, I had to finally understand that it was okay. I finally kind of let it go. All the hurt that I had, I let it go because I looked at that group of people that did understand the disease and that wanted to be my friend. And it finally became okay. It was okay. I had this new group of people that understood me. So over the last 3 years, I built a new tribe of some of the best friends that I have now. I do, of course, still have some of my old best friends that try to understand the disease, and I love them just as much as I ever did, and they love me too. But there is this unspoken bond with my new tribe. Sometimes all we need to do is look at each other and we get it. We know what each other are thinking. We know what we're feeling. We know when we're feeling bad. We know when we're feeling good. We know we're there for each other, even without speaking a word. And how fabulous is that? We all know migraine is a thief. It takes a lot from us. I was working full-time, climbing the ladder at a large corporation. Working in the marketing division, I traveled 3 days a week, and I could no longer work at all. Just like that, boom. I felt like my identity was taken from me. I felt like I was robbed. When I was cured from cancer, I was ready to go back to work, and bam, I had migraine. I couldn't go back to work. I worked so hard to get where I was. I loved what I did. I loved helping people, helping families. It was a huge part of who I was. Now, who was I? I was just a mom and a wife. Don't get me wrong, I loved both of those titles, but sometimes they're thankless jobs, right? I was a cleaning lady, I was a chef, I was someone who did the laundry, put it away. I was alone all day. I was in bed most days. When I wasn't in bed, I was doing these jobs that I felt underappreciated, and I was never thanked for them, ever. I usually got, hey mom, where's my lacrosse uniform? Where are my sneakers? The dishwasher's full, so the dishes just got left in the sink. Or, hey, the towels are still wet because you didn't turn the dryer on. Like, wow. So then I started volunteering and working part-time with Miles for Migraine, and my life started to change again, this time for the better again. Living with migraine, I was unable to work full-time, so part-time and volunteering when I felt okay was the next best thing. It had been the icing on the cake. Miles for Migraine has given me a purpose again. I made even more friends, both that work at Miles for Migraine, but also the volunteers that work with me have become my friends. I look forward to my Zoom calls with them, to my support group Zoom calls, but I also look forward to the times that I get to meet them in person. So I finally got to meet someone in person. We had our Hartford in-person Miles for Migraine work, and one of my wonderful friends lived in Hartford. So I volunteered to drive 4 hours to go to the Hartford event because I wanted to meet her. I was dying to meet her. We connected. I loved her. And so I said, I'm driving up there because I am meeting her. So I went and drove to the Hartford event just to meet this one person who volunteered and did other things with us. And it was such an awesome feeling. And we met in person, and it was great. So I can't wait to attend the retreat Migraine in October, because there are so many more people I finally get to meet in person. I thought for a second, because of the COVID spike, that I was going to stay home, but nope. Meeting these people trumps everything. I'm looking forward to a great time, making great memories, and adding new friends to my migraine tribe. So if I can share anything with you today, I will share this. You are worthy of everything you were before this disease. You're the same person you were before. You may have to change your direction a bit, but you are still you. So don't forget that. Joining Miles for Migraine by volunteering with us, typically just a few hours a month, or joining one of our support groups, is something you will never regret. I promise it will give you inspiration, hope, new friends, and a sense of belonging. If it's not Miles for Migraine you join, I'm sure joining any migraine community will help you in your migraine journey. I will leave you with one of my favorite quotes by Vivian Green. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Thank you so much for your time. And that is all I have. So, having said that,